Please welcome Officer David Gomez.
All right. All right, well, thanks everybody for having me. I always like to start these things off with something groundbreaking and new in the social media drug world for you guys. So I'm going to let you guys know, last week I was part of a DUI investigation. We pulled over a car, drunk driving. As we started looking through the car, we realized he was drinking brake fluid. So, of course, we go online, we look at, hey, what does brake fluid have in it? What's going on with it? And we weren't getting much, so I just started asking him questions like, hey, how long have you been drinking brake fluid for? And I said, are you addicted to this? He goes, no, I can stop anytime I want. It takes a minute. This is going to be a heavy conversation, so we're going to start it off a little lighthearted. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about tonight. Positives of social media, because there are some positives. Devices at school, thefts, security threats, bullying, nude photos is becoming a really big one. And then once I scare you with all of that, we'll talk about some of the best practices you can do to keep your kids safe on social media. Now, there's going to be a lot going on here. I have a Facebook page. It's at Deputy Gomez. I have all these things on there. I have videos on YouTube. So a lot of these things you can go back and see. But you're going to hear some things tonight. At the end, we're going to leave some time for some questions. So you can ask me questions at the end. You can always connect with me online any which way you can there. So I've been in law enforcement 12 years. 10 of those pretty much has been as a school resource officer. So I was a resource officer for 1,200 students in the middle school, 2,300 students at a high school, and now I'm at a school with 300 students K through 12. So I know all the kids in every which way or shape or form. I run some fake account pages, so I help the Internet Predator Task Force. So I'm one of the ones who talks to the people and brings them into the park so we can arrest them. And so I'll tell you some stories about those. And one of my specialties that I do is, because I have social media, I'm one of the best people at finding runaways. So other agencies, usually they give them a week or two before they set the hound dog on finding the runaways. And I can usually find the runaways and get them home. And there's some things that I do when I take them home that's different than what other officers do. Accessibility. Everybody these days has access to social media, has access to devices. I live in Idaho City, Idaho. I probably have 10 families that don't have running water or electricity. Every one of those kids has social media devices. Every one of those kids has a Chromebook. Every one of those kids has access, not only at the school, but at the grocery store, wherever they go. Even if they don't have it right at their house, even with no running water and electricity, they have this available to them. Some of the other positives, with that, you can have some education, right? We had COVID, we had a pandemic, we could educate people at home, we can educate people in rural areas. Doctors can diagnose people over the computer. They can also 3D print limbs and things that you wouldn't be able to do normally. So there are some great advantages to social media. Devices. What we're going to be talking about today is watches, cell phones, tablets, computers, gaming systems, right? Some of those are school supplied devices and some of the challenges that those bring along with them. We'll start with smartwatches. Smartwatches, the gizmos and the iWatches are completely different. People who want phones for their kids and want them to be connected so you can talk to them after school, when they're young, 6 to 11 years old, I always recommend the Gizmo or Gizmo type watch. You can input 10 numbers, you can keep track of your kids, they can't add anybody that you don't say. At about age 11, they're not going to want those anymore, right? They're going to be made fun of at school, so then we got to switch them to something else. I still wouldn't recommend the smartphone, but these are things we have to deal with. Smartwatches now have standalone capabilities, so you can have a smartphone that is a phone. The smartwatches, the Samsung version, the iPhone version, can view pornography and lots of it. They can take pictures of tests, they can cheat on tests, they can use them to bully people. Basically, the new smartwatches can almost do everything a phone can. It's just it's a little tougher when you're typing in little stuff, but you can get external keyboards for them, you can put Bluetooth keyboards on, lots of things happening. So anybody under the age of 13, Gizmo or nothing. All right, that is my recommendation. And we're going to go into a lot of this stuff tonight. Cell phones. So cell phones, we have flip phones and we have smartphones. There's a third class of phones, Gab Wireless, Light Phone, Pinwheel, it's like Tramu. These are specialty phones you can buy that come with basically restricted services. So if you get a Gab Wireless phone, it doesn't allow for Snapchat, it doesn't allow for online surfing. It's a regular phone that looks like a smartphone, right? You can text and you can make phone calls. There's a few other things you can do, but you have these giant companies who are trying to help you parent better and keep your kids out of trouble, so they sell you these specialty phones. They cost a little bit more. They are far safer than a regular smartphone. And a lot of parents think, okay, well, I can get an iPhone, I can get a Samsung phone, and I can put controls on it myself. Yes, you can. However, you don't have all the knowledge that these companies have in order to do this. Now, are those phones that I mentioned perfect? Nope, there's still some loopholes, but they're a lot less than a regular phone would be. A couple things to think about cell phones. When cell phones come to school, who is responsible for those cell phones? When cell phones are on the bus, who's responsible for those cell phones? Some of the problems I get is kids get on the bus, you get some sixth graders who are showing second and third graders pornography. Is the school responsible for that? Is the bus department responsible? Are the parents responsible for that? Right? These are all legal questions that every school district has to answer. Right? And I promise you that's going to happen. After this class, I get some parents, I'm never going to give my kid a phone. Well, guess what? You have to have the conversations anyways, because even if your kid doesn't have a phone, friends are going to have a phone, the upperclassmen are going to have a phone, the friend at the park is going to have a phone. They're going to have phones and videos available to them all the time. Right? At the park, on the weekends, everywhere is going to have phones available. You have to have these conversations. Okay, does anybody wait for smart social media? So if you look up here, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Be Real, all of these require you to be 13 years old to have your own account. Now, do parents wait for that? Rarely. Rarely. Now, the reason for this is not because it's safe for them at 13. The reason for this is because the FCC does not want your kids' information being sold. Right? So the FCC said, hey, look, we cannot have kids that have social media accounts under 13 because they are data mining. And if they're data mining and selling that information, they don't want it to be of anybody under the age of 13. However, if you're a parent and you allow them to do this, they have to put in a fake birthday if they're going to be under 13. And if you allow them to put in a fake birthday and you don't think that the age requirement matters, you're going to have some challenges when it comes to smoking, when it comes to drinking, when it comes to driving, when it comes to all these things that are age requirement. In your house, you're basically saying, hey, look, we're going to shuck the rules and we're going to do what we want. And so a lot of parents, I put some of the reasons why parents will bypass these age requirements, right? I'm going to be the cool parent. Unfortunately, we have lots and lots and lots of cool parents. Tired of arguing, right? And you're going to hear this from your 4th and 5th grader. Mom, Dad, I'm the only one in my whole class that doesn't have a phone. And probably pretty close to correct. Okay, there's a program now. It's been out for a couple of years called Wait Till 8th. And basically, it's a community program where all the parents agree to wait until minimum of 8th grade before they get a smartphone. That way, if you're a 5th grade parent, a 6th grade parent, you're not arguing with your kid all the time about how come they're the only ones without a smartphone. Because the reality is that most 4th, 5th, 6th graders are already starting to have their own smartphones. They're already starting to bully. They're already starting to get in trouble with them. One of the new ones that's coming out on why kids need smartphones is because teachers. Do teachers assign work on cell phones? Absolutely. Do teachers connect with their athletes on social media? Absolutely. Do teachers want kids to be on the Remind app, on Snapchat, on those things so that they can let them know the practice has changed? Absolutely. So that's a problem that we have to overcome with teachers, with school counselors. Now, I am at a school where last year we had cell phones. This year we went to no cell phones. They can have them at lunch and that's it. And we took away the discretion of schools or the teachers to even allow cell phones. So then the coaches figured it out, right? They know how to figure it out, let the kids know in class that they're going to change their sports stuff. They can do it after school. They don't have to do it during school. But understand, as a teacher, if you are using cell phones in the classroom, you're going to make that argument harder. If you are a parent that's giving your 5th, 6th, 7th grader phones, you're going to make that argument harder for everybody else. And then everybody thinks their kid is different than everybody else. It's like, oh, my kid's not the same. Right? True, they're not the same, but they're going to run into some of the same problems. School supplied devices. So here you have Chromebooks. We have Chromebooks as well. I unfortunately talk to a lot of parents who call and say there's some kind of problem with the Chromebook. Either kids are surfing pornography, they're bullying, they're being bullied, and so they always call and they want the school to fix it. Whose responsibility is that Chromebook at home? Well, the school has some responsibility, and schools will put on security software, right? They'll put on Guardian, they'll put on all these security softwares. However, kids become geniuses at finding the loopholes. Right, and I'll tell you, on Chromebooks, it's super easy to start it in safe mode and bypass most of the security. But that's where we have to educate parents, and this is part of that education. Parents, when devices come into your home, you have to control those. When devices come into your house, when a friend comes over, you have to control those. Right, for sleepovers, who's controlling those phones? You have to. On the bus, when your kid is without you, how do they control themselves? It's like, hey, there's going to be a video showing everybody's going to be looking at it. Why should they not look at it? That's something a parent has to tell kids how to handle. A parent has to tell kids, wait, when you're getting bullied, this is what you do. Not only do you have to tell your kids, you have to demonstrate it. You have to be a good role model for them, especially on Facebook when there's politics that threaten to make you lose your temper. You are showing your kids how to handle things. So am I. So are the teachers. So is the community. And I'm so glad to see you guys come here as a community because it helps us educate ourselves and our kids. So cell phones get stolen. Cell phones get lost. One of the other problems we have at the school is parents will buy their kids a $800 iPhone. Kids come to school and do what kids do. They do a cartwheel in the grass and that phone is gone. Well, now we have parents calling us, I paid $800 for that phone and by golly, you guys are going to find it. Right? So now we have to start taking time out of our day to find an $800 phone that they should have never sent to school. Right? What are the chances something bad is going to happen to an $800 computer at school? Very high. A 3rd and 4th grader, what's the chance they're going to leave it at the pizza line? Very high. And then we got Raging Bull Mama Bear coming. You guys got to find my phone. My kid can't live without it. And, I'm going to sue you and everybody that looks like you. This happens. And at school level, we have to deal with these things. I always ask parents, hey, you want cell phones at school? How much extra are you willing to pay for the extra people that it's going to take to monitor them? One bullying incident, that takes out a couple of administrators who have to call in all the people that are involved in that. One lost cell phone, one harassment, all these things take up time from administrators and add time to that we're not going to be able to teach. We're not going to be able to help out. Some cell phones, if they're over $1,000, I know in Idaho over $1,000 becomes a felony. I don't know what it is here, but there's a certain amount becomes felonies. Some kids get charged. Why would kids steal cell phones? Kids like to have cell phones, extra ones, because when theirs gets confiscated, they can have an extra. When they have to put theirs in the little shoe thing that the teachers have, now they have a real phone that they can talk with. They have their burner phones. That way they're not without. Because I kid you not, screen time is an addiction that is super bad. Not just for kids, for adults too. Right? Is an addiction. Pornography that comes on those screens is also an addiction. So kids are going to steal phones. They can get in big trouble for it. Right? Up to a felony. Let's talk about online threats for a minute. Chances are that while your child is in school, at some point there's going to be an online threat. Somebody's going to make a fake account. They're going to post some pictures of guns. They're going to post a picture of the school, and they're going to say, hey, don't come to school tomorrow, I'm going to shoot up the school. Now, hopefully you're going to get an email from the school before the neighbors send it to you, right? Because those spread like wildfire. They go to the news, they go to all the parents, and pretty soon every kid is sharing it with everybody. It's like, oh goodness, I can't go to school tomorrow because it's going to get shot up. That is a real concern. Let me tell you what happens on the backside from police version. So, as soon as that threat is realized, police get called. Hey, look, there's a threat to whatever school. Administrators get called. There's a threat to whatever school. News stations get called. There's a threat to the school. Now news stations are calling the school and police. Everybody's calling everybody. It causes a mess just like that. Now the next thing that happens is the school administration sends out a school-wide email. Hey, we have a school threat. It's threatening to happen tomorrow. We have police on it. We have administrators on it. If you're not going to send your kid to school tomorrow, please call them in sick as you normally would. We will update you as we can. In the background, police are deciding, is this a real threat? Myself, I get called out at midnight. Hey, Gomez, we have an Instagram threat. We have a Snapchat threat. We have an Instagram threat. So now I'm writing search warrants so that I can get the information from Instagram on where this account came from. It usually takes me maybe 20 minutes to a half hour to find out exactly where that threat came from, exactly who made that account. So I get an address of exactly where that threat was made. Now, as a police department, we have to decide, are we going to go to that house with a SWAT team? Are we going to evacuate all the neighbors? Are we going to do an emergency call to make sure everybody knows that there's a threat in the neighborhood and we're going to be coming through with SWAT teams? It depends, right? It depends on what I know. A lot of times I can do research on the address and see who's living there. The last one I had, we actually took a SWAT team to the door. We don't know if it's an adult or a kid making those threats. So we took a SWAT team to the door. It was a 6th grade girl, little brace-faced girl that didn't want to take a test tomorrow. She made that threat, caused unknown amount of work for everybody. That school district told her she could never come back to that school district. She changed her life just like that. On top of that, people can get charged, right? If you're a little older, we're not going to charge a 6th grader, but you could get charged with those things. Now, here's the other thing I see that happens a lot. MMS gets threatened on Snapchat. How many MMSs are there in the whole United States? A lot, right? Meridian Middle School, Michigan Middle School, Mountain Middle School, Montana Middle School. The kids know it's not their school, but they're not going to tell you parents that. Mom, look, somebody threatened MMS. I'm not going to school tomorrow. What? Let me call the news. Here we go again. Right? So as a parent, as a law enforcement officer, I tell parents, look, if you see a threat, type in the exact threat into a search. Most times you will see that 6 months ago that threat came out and somebody got arrested for it in a different state. But that's not going to stop the kids from making those online threats and wreaking havoc on your school. Okay, because one kid knows, all the rest don't. Hey, oh my goodness, they're all too happy to skip school the next day. Lots going on very quickly. Schools and phones. I've gotten to the point now where I tell parents, you can either have cell phones at school or education at school. You pick. Cell phones are the biggest distraction ever at school. First of all, drama. There's all kinds of drama, and kids have to be involved in the drama. And so just picture this. When you get to, your kid gets to school, and there is some kind of a fake list going out. Usually it's a dating list. Somebody takes a picture of somebody and date them or not date them. We call it the smash or pass list, right? Smash means to have sex with, or pass means no thank you. They take pictures of random adults, random kids. And now everybody says smash or pass. Well, when you get to school as a student, now you're looking all day long to see who's made the smash or pass list. Not only whose picture is there, but what are people saying? Now we have the smash or pass list. We have the rate my shoes. A lot of times they like to take pictures of teacher shoes, rate my shoes, right? We have the confessions of almost every school in the United States, confessions of whatever middle school, or middle school confessions. And that's just for them to start dirty secrets about stuff. And there's all kinds of bully stuff. There's fights page, right? You have the area code and a fight page. And so I get calls from parents that say, how come you're not taking these down? Well, first of all, it has to be illegal for me to take it down. It's not illegal for them to take pictures of each other. Second of all, if I did take it down, and you can report it enough times and it'll get taken down, if I do take it down, somebody else will start another fake account in 2 minutes and it'll be back up and running again. Right? So again, this falls on education of the community. But you can imagine when a kid gets to school and there's one of those pages up, they're going to take 15 bathroom breaks to go and check. And if a teacher stops that kid from going to check, here comes Mama Bear. You're causing a, crazy infection in my kid because you didn't let him go to the bathroom 15 times. Right? We have to deal with that. We have to deal with bullying at school. And a lot of times the bullying at school didn't even happen at school. It happened on the weekend. But then the teacher or the parent calls and says, hey, my kid is being bullied. You guys got to handle it. It's like, well, that looks clearly it happened Saturday night. And the parent always says, well, but my kid is at school and your job is to make my kid be safe at school. They don't feel safe, so now you got to handle it. Right? And just the amount of time it takes to deal with those parents is a pain in the neck, much less dealing with the bullying situation. And sometimes I'll tell parents, I'm like, hey, look at this. If you take the phone and shut it off and keep it in your safe, they can't get bullied. Oh goodness, that is crazy talk. Right? It can't be that they are accountable for it. Right? At one point in my life, I was very heavy on the 200 friends or less rule. You have 200 friends or less because if you had more than that, you're going to get bullied. With 200 friends or less, you know who your friends are, and if you're getting bullied, I know who to go find. If you have 400 or 500 friends, you're going to get bullied today, tomorrow, the next day, and you're getting bullied by somebody in Australia, somebody in Pakistan, in all kinds of places. And I still have parents call in wanting me to solve that issue, wanting the school to solve that issue. Right? That is crazy talk. Okay, bullying. Bullying is probably the most overused term used by parents around. Okay, we get daily, my kid is being bullied. And usually, those people that are reporting it are in the front office bullying our staff. Right? My recommendation, you always have somebody that's 2 years away from retirement because they don't care. If they're at the front office, you come in and try and talk to them, they will escort you out and they don't care. And that's what I had at Mountain View High School with 2,300 students. She was 2 years from retirement. Oh, don't try and bully her. Okay, but bullying. My definition of bullying, which I came up with, was one-way repeated harassment of any kind. Plain and simple. One way means if your kid is involved in a Twitter fight where they're back and forth, that is not bullying. Right? They are participant. That is called social conflict. And we'll talk about social conflict. But when you got two kids going like this, that's not bullying. No matter how big or small either one is. They are a participant. Repeated. If somebody calls your kid something funny in the hallway one time, it's rude, but it's not bullying. Repeated harassment of any kind. Now, I have been an SRO for 10 years now. We have a bullying law in the state of Idaho. It's a $72 citation if I find somebody bullying. And I've had, at a school with 2,300 kids every year, I've had more kids than most. I think in my entire career, I've written 5 bullying citations. And usually that's because of a parent. Usually the parent is participating in that bullying just as much as the kid is. Right? And that's basically for the parent. One kid I wrote 2 citations to because they wouldn't take something down. Here's your ticket, I'll give you another one tomorrow. 5 times in my entire career, I've actually found bullying. So, online especially, here's the 3 steps to solve a bullying issue. Number 1, stop talking about the person. Stop talking to or about the person. Number 2, block and delete and move on with your life, right? Every application has a block and delete. If not, you just take the phone and throw it in the shredder or smash it with a hammer or done. The 3rd step, which is the most important part, tell your friends not to send you screenshots. Because what always happens is I tell kids how to handle bullying. Parents call me the next day. Hey, Officer Gomez, thanks for talking to my kid. I really appreciate it, but they're still being bullied. I'm like, okay, well, how do you know they're being bullied? Well, because their friends are sending them screenshots. I'm like, well, step number 3 was clearly tell your friends not to send you screenshots. And I'll always get the parent that says, well, then how will we know if we're getting bullied? You won't. That's the magic of this whole thing. Right? That is the magic of it. You go about your life. Let them spend their energy on you. But so many parents have a hard time with that. And what they usually want, well, that bully needs to get punished. I'm like, are you the punishment police now for bullying? No. Move on with your life. Control your own thoughts and emotions. Okay, I like to highlight good parents sometimes too. I had a young lady who was 13, got involved in a Twitter fight. This was a whole group of them involved in a Twitter fight. I think every parent called me and wanted me to arrest every other kid and their parent for this bully situation. Well, this one girl, when I called her mom to say, hey, look, this is not a bullying situation. It is a social conflict situation because your daughter was participating. And she says, oh, my daughter must not have told me that part. Let me call you back. So about an hour later, she calls me and she says, hey, Officer Gomez, I'm sorry I wasted your time today. She says, when we gave our daughter the phone, we said, number 1 rule, we will never write anything negative about anybody online for any reason. She violated that rule, so she doesn't get the phone back until she's 14 when we think she's more mature. Right? The parenting, it brought a tear to my eye. It was a beautiful thing. I had that girl all the way through senior in high school. She never had another problem. Right? The parents set the example right off the get-go. They set the boundary. She crossed it. She got the consequence. It was a happily ever after story. But that's what parents have to do. You have to plan this ahead of time. I'm telling you these problems are going to happen. We got to start ahead of time with these things are going to happen. Okay, social conflict. When kids are fighting with each other, that's social conflict. When kids are arguing with each other, that's social conflict. When you have a problem with somebody on Facebook and you're calling each other names, that's still social conflict. Now, social conflict, you should welcome it as a parent. You are a kid's coach. You are supposed to coach them through problems, and the more problems they have at your house, when you are able to coach them through, the better. So when I get a parent that calls me and says, hey, my kid's getting bullied, I'm like, awesome. Now we can help you solve it. When I get kids that come in, I'm getting bullied. I'm like, okay, would you like me to solve it for you? Would you like me to teach you how to solve it? They always want me to solve it for them. I said, nope, let's start over again. But I can teach them how to solve it. Parents can teach them how to solve it. If you don't teach your kids how to solve social conflict, they will become adults who, when somebody cuts them off in a car, they start shooting at them. They start running them off the road. They start getting visits from police. And I can't tell you how many adults I've dealt with who I have to tell them, look, I'm not your mom. This is not up for discussion. Right? And they're going to come with me at the end of a taser or something else cool. But that's all because they don't know how to solve social conflict. And we get lots of parents who don't know how to solve it. Learn if you don't know, and it's easy to learn. You have to demonstrate it. And just remember, you're the coaches. Stay off the field. I get too many coaches that want to come on the field and kick everybody. As a coach, you should talk your kids through it. Right? And the more problems you have, the more you're going to get to coach. All right, nude photos. This is kind of a heavy topic, but it's one that we have to talk about. I'm pretty sure the same laws apply in almost every state I go to. Anybody under the age of 18 that sends out a nude photo of themselves is basically manufacturing child pornography, which that term is actually going to change to child sexual abuse material, CSAM. That came to me from the political correct people. So CSAM, child sexual abuse material, anybody under 18, if you send out your picture, you are basically producing child pornography. If you are in possession of any picture of somebody under the age of 18, you're in possession of child pornography. If you threaten somebody that you're going to share their picture, whether you have it or not, you fall to these laws as well. Nude photos lately have been huge. How huge? I tell kids by 11th grade, 80% of the girls have sent out nude photos. 80%. By 8th grade, it's 50%. And that number goes higher all the time. Now, most adults have a hard time comprehending that. It's like, why would they do that? Okay, so people give their kids smartphones. They're on social media. What is happening on social media is they are being desensitized and groomed by millions of people online every single day. And what are they being groomed for? They're not being groomed for good deeds. They are being groomed to show that they are worth their body parts. Every single day, as soon as a kid has a smartphone, as soon as they have social media, they are being groomed into believing they are worth their body parts. So then why are we so surprised when they start sending out naked pictures of themselves? They want to be accepted just like everybody else. They want to feel worth something just like everybody else. And this is a huge, huge problem. Because once your naked picture is out, you can never get it back. When it hits the internet, for me to get it back is like trying to unscramble an egg. I can't do it. And there are so many predators out there who come after kids and adults who have sent out naked pictures. It doesn't just happen to kids, it happens to adults. Every single day we're dealing with nude photos. And I take away somebody's phone with nude photos, so if I get it at the school, I have a phone that has nude photos on it. That's a criminal charge. Do I give a phone with naked photos of kids back to a parent? Nope. It goes in evidence, and when we're done with it, there's 2 ways to clean that phone: a hammer or a blender. We will never give that phone back once it has child pornography on it. But then the parents go buy another phone, because for a lot of parents, kids not having a phone is a bigger pain to the parent than it is to the kid. Which I don't know how I was raised. How everybody in my generation, we were raised just fine. But I know that parents do feel it's a bigger pain for them when their kids don't have phones. Any nude photo issue should be a police call. Okay? If you find nude photos here at the school, if you find nude photos at home on your kid's cell phone, if your kid is being sextortion, meaning somebody is asking them for money to not have their naked pictures shared, that is a police issue, always. And I always try and make the kids understand the bigger trouble they're in, the better friend our police. Right? That's when we can really shine and come in. There's going to be some consequences, but the police consequences aren't going to be anything like the real life consequences. Right? And I tell kids, look, you send out your naked picture. Now we have creepers all around our schools that have naked pictures of you. Then I ask them, do we ID people that come to volleyball games? Do we ask for IDs of people that come to football games? No. Even if we did, their driver's license doesn't say a number 1 creeper on it. Right? So we have people that get naked pictures of young kids. They come to the football games. They want to see what that person looks like clothed. They want to see what their friends look like. They follow them home. They want to see what their parents look like. They want to see what bedroom they're in. It's very dangerous for naked pictures to get out. And then for the rest of your life, you have to worry about whether that person is going to share those pictures. Right? So what I'm starting to see now is that people that sent out pictures 5 years ago, now they're going to get married, they're going to get a new job, and they get an email, hey, remember that naked picture you sent out in high school? What's it worth to you if I don't send it to your wedding party, to your new boss, to your family, to your church, to your spouse? Naked pictures are life-changing, whether you're a kid or an adult. For adults, I have adult women who come in. A 30 to 40-year-old woman comes into my office, and this has happened many a times. Hey, Officer Gomez, I was married for 15, 20 years. Year number 7, we had a honeymoon, and we made an intimate video of each other. Now that we're divorced, my husband just sent it to everybody at my workplace. Just sent it to my family. Right? That's illegal, but the damage is done. Okay? This is something you have to talk about with your kids, especially if you're giving them a smartphone. But if you're not giving them a smartphone, you especially have to talk to them too, because their friends are going to have them. My 2 qualifications for giving a kid a smartphone. Number 1, they be 13 years old, right? Don't give anybody a smartphone under 13. Number 2, understand clearly that they will be looking at pornography on that phone. If you're okay with that, give away. It's like, Gomez, I'm never going to be okay with that. Then don't give them a smartphone ever. Because it is going to happen. The analogy I like to use, a Playboy magazine has about 75 nude pictures in it. How many people are going to let their teenagers have Playboy magazines in their room overnight? 0. A cell phone, especially a smartphone, has millions of pictures, millions of videos, millions of people they can connect with. How many people let their teens have those in their rooms overnight? Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. It's kind of cray-cray, isn't it? Some of these slides are for law enforcement only. Okay, so photocurrency. I just told you how many naked pictures are at the school. What's happening now is naked photos become a currency. You can buy vapes, you can buy drugs, you can trade them around like playing cards, you can get places to live. So what happens if I have a middle school kid, especially a girl that doesn't have enough money to buy a vape or marijuana, she can trade her naked photo for marijuana or a vape. And on Snapchat, so I have fakey accounts on Snapchat. On Snapchat, what I see is the drug dealers will offer whatever marijuana. We're going to use a zip. A zip of marijuana is about a gallon Ziploc bag full of marijuana. We call it a zip, anywhere from $120 to $180. What I see on Snapchat is zip of marijuana, $150. With nude photo, $100. With sexual favors, $80. Naked pictures become a currency. So now, it doesn't even have to be your naked picture. Let's say a boy has a naked picture of his girlfriend, and he wants marijuana or vapes or pills. He can say, hey, I got a picture of this cheerleader girl. What can I get for it? Well, I'll give you this much marijuana. I'll give you this many vapes. It actually becomes a currency that is traded and has value. Depend on the perceived hotness of the girl and how many naked pictures are in circulation. I also see people trade naked pictures for cell phones. Right? Cell phones are a huge commodity, especially when kids are so addicted to them. Okay, so we talked about sextortion. So here's the way sextortion happens. And this happens to adults too. Let's do the Facebook version of sextortion. Some hottie girl comes on and says, I want to talk to you, right? Whether it's a boy or a full-grown person. Hey, I want to talk to you. I'm at college or whatever. I'm in high school, whatever. For my English class, I just got to talk to 5 random people. So whoever starts talking to them. Talk for 15 minutes. Oh, thanks for talking to me. That's all I needed. As a thank you, I am going to take off my shirt and let you see me topless. So she does. Or she sends a topless picture. Now she asks for one back. The boys sometimes send it back, sometimes they don't. But if they do, then she gets full naked, then they trade. Pretty soon, there's nude photos of the person she was talking to. Now the next day, a third party or the same girl, hey, I've got naked pictures of you. I am going to send them to your friends, your church, your spouse, your whoever. Send me $400 in iTunes cards, or else I'm going to send the picture out. Now, a lot of people will send that $400 because they don't want that picture to get out. If you send the $400 in iTunes cards because they cannot be tracked, or Western Union because it cannot be tracked, that money is gone forever. And in about 3 to 5 days, you will get another email. I need $400 more. And I need $400, and it will never end until every bit of your money is gone. So you might as well let us know right off the get-go. We can track people down. People on Snapchat are not anonymous to me. People on Instagram, not anonymous to me. People on TikTok, not anonymous to me. I've got to write a couple search warrants, but I can find people where they live. A lot of times these guys aren't really in it for the long haul. They're going to try. If they don't get it, they're going to move on to the next victim because they have thousands of victims every day. Do not pay them. It's like don't feed the monkeys at the zoo. Do not pay them. It just makes them more Hungary. Okay, we're going to talk about predators. But first, I want to tell you guys a little story of how I became educated. I was an engineer at Micron. I got to fly all around the world working on semiconductor equipment. I got to go spend time in Italy and Singapore. Lots of electronics, lots of computer skills. At some point in my life, I saw an ad for Meridian Police, and I said, honey, we're changing our life. It was like American Idol. Like every week they'd cut, from 200 people to 100 people. Every week I made it to the next one until I was a cop. My first 3 years of being a cop, I was on night shift. Most rookies, especially in a big agency, you're going to the night shift, the graveyard shift, 9 p.m. till 7 a.m. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but that shift is where all the fun people are, right? That's where you get car chases, fights, burglaries, alcohol, everything is fun happens at night. When you're on the day shift, you're dealing with grouchy soccer moms. You can't just pepper spray and tase them like you can everybody else, right? It's different. After I did my 3 years on patrol, they asked me to go to Lewis and Clark Middle School to be an SRO. When I got there, everything the kids were talking about was social media, whether it was bullying, dating, suicidal issues, abuse issues, cheating, everything was on social media. My computer skills were awesome, right? I could build a computer from scratch. My social media skills were none. I probably had an outdated MySpace page, which I never used anyways. So what I did in order to educate myself, I made a fake Facebook account. It took me about 15 minutes to make a fake Facebook account. I friended 20 of the most popular kids at my school, my own middle school. All 20 of them accepted me that day. Once I had 20, I never had to add another friend. Within about 3 months, I had 500 kids at my own school that were my friends on my fake social media account. Now I could see who they were talking to. I could see what they were talking about. I see how they talk. I could see how they behave. But I started seeing other things as well. Whenever we would arrest a predator in the area, I would check the predator that we arrested against my friends list. And way more often than not, I had friends in common. That means my kids had friends that were predators and they didn't even know it. So then I started going in and teaching classes. And SROs who have fake accounts, they tell you, keep it secret, don't ever tell anybody, don't show anybody. I did the opposite. I started going in classrooms, hey, who has social media? And they'd raise their hands. And I said, put your hand down. I already know who has social media because I'm your friend on my fakey account. Right? And of course, Officer Gomez, I feel like you're creeping on me. It makes me feel all dirty inside. And then they promised to delete me right then and there. It's like, hey, take out your phones. Well, they would take out their phones and they'd look at me and they'd look at their phone and they'd say, which one of my 800 friends are you? I'm not saying delete everybody you don't know and you'll have deleted me. I'll bet the kids at my middle school, my 500 friends, had between 400 and 5,000 Facebook friends. Facebook caps you at 5,000. You have to have a mirror account. And some of my kids at the school had more than 5,000, so they would have a mirror account. Okay, so after I educated them, I made a second Facebook account of a 13-year-old girl. Super clean, painfully obvious she was 13 because it was a birthday like every 3 weeks. Yay, I'm 13, I can have my Facebook account. I started adding friends at my school, and it was much harder the second time to add them because some of the kids were paying attention. Some, not so much. And a lot of the kids cared about me. They didn't care about the predators. They just didn't want Officer Gomez following them, which is fine by me. It took me about 3 months to add 100 kids. But once I had those 100 kids, I started accepting friends of friends. So if you were friends with my kids, I would accept you as my friend on my Facebook page. Well, I started getting 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old men started friending my fakey Facebook account. Now, my 13-year-old girl is not anybody's soccer team. She's not anybody's church. She's not related to anybody. Nothing. So there's no reason for these guys to friend me. Well, let's see what they're going to do. A lot of them were what we call ghost followers, so they never did anything. They just send you a friend request, and they just never talk to you, nothing. However, some of them did start talking to me. So right away, a 26-year-old man started talking to me. He sends me a message. He says, hey, I am a 26-year-old Marine sergeant in Iraq. I'm up on rooftops as a sniper. My platoon, or whatever he called them, was down below. He says, it's not exciting like on TV, and I have a hard time staying awake. Because I just like to chat with people because it helps me stay awake, and you look like a fun person to chat with. Okay, well, I'll service my country. I'll start chatting. So as we start chatting, about 15 minutes into it, this 26-year-old asked my 13-year-old girl to send him naked pictures. Send me nudes. That's how it comes across. Send me nudes. I said, no, I'm 13. I'm not sending you anything. He was fine with it. We chatted for a little bit, signed off. The next day, the same guy contacts me. He says, hey, do you really live in Meridian, which is where I was? Yep, I live in Meridian. I go to the middle school. I'm 13. And he says, hey, look, you've been such a good friend here. We've known each other 12 hours. I am coming back from Iraq next week for a whole week of leave. And he says, I want to repay your kindness by taking you out to a nice dinner. And he sends me a nice menu of I think it was like P.F. Chang's or something like that. Sent me the nice dinner jacket he was going to wear, the little hoopty car that he was going to pick me up in. Well, I asked my sergeant, and I checked my schedule. I had nothing going on that night. So I said, yes, I'd love to go out on a date with you. So we set a date to meet at the local park a week from then. In that week, he started the grooming process. And the grooming process starts small. Hey, when we meet, can I give you a hug? When we meet, can I give you a kiss on the cheek? When we meet, will you wear this? And by the end of the week, it got graphically sexual on the things he wanted to do with a 13-year-old. And I must have told him 52 times I was 13. So date night came. We met him at the park right on time. In fact, he was early. I arrested him, put him in the back of my car, read him his Miranda rights, and started asking him some questions. Like, dude, where's your car? I don't have a car. Well, how'd you get here from your house? I don't have a house. Where's your phone? I don't have a phone. I'm like, you're like a homeless guy. He goes, yep, I've been homeless about 3 years now, 2 or 3 years. He was never in the military. It was just a story he used to get girls. Now, I did search warrants on 2 Facebook accounts, which I got about 3 months of data. It was like thousands of pages. This guy was going using the public library computers and friending about 100 middle school girls every day. Not even high school girls, they were too old. 100 middle school girls to which he was getting about 90% acceptance rate. When I got the data back in my school district, about 30 girls had sent him naked pictures, all middle school girls. 5 had met him for dates. That summer, myself and one other school resource officer, we got assigned to Predator Patrol, so we made a bunch of fake accounts. We ended up arresting about 16 men who came to our town to have sex with middle school kids. One of them, right off the get-go, was a college coach, 50 years old. One of them was right out of prison. Right? There was all kinds of people. We could have arrested a new person every single day. Every single day. Those 16 guys we arrested, it took us about 5 years to clear those cases. Because every time we arrested one of them, we get search warrants for their computers, their phones, their social media accounts, and then we have real victims always. So now we're making phone calls to other jurisdictions. Hey, will you go talk to this kid? We think they're a victim of a sex crime. We think they're a victim of a sex crime. We think they're a victim of a sex crime. And then we'd have to go to court there. 5 or 6 years to clear those. Hugely intensive on the work it takes to clean those up. Now we have a group. I think most states have it. Internet Crimes Against Children. Idaho has its own group. I think Washington, everybody has one. But they are very limited in what they can go after. So in going after predators and talking to parents and talking to kids at the school, that's where I came up with my education, and this is what I share with you tonight. Okay, I have been collecting this information for a while now. And whatever you hear is nothing compared to what's really happening, how bad this is and happening in your own homes, in kids' bedrooms. Right? And we're not done yet. We still got some other fun stuff here. I know you guys were thinking, that's it? Okay, so with predators. First of all, when predators are going after girls, they use their emotions against them. So here's a great example. I had a 7th grade girl, very religious, came into my office at the school. I'm a school resource officer. I'm at the school full-time, every day. 7th grade girl comes in, very religious, crying her little eyes out. Officer Gomez, nobody's asked me to the dance. We called it Boogie Bash dance. And the reason she's a very cute girl, the reason nobody had asked her is because she's very religious. She's all about her family, all about community. She loves God every single day. I don't think she's ever been cursed. But the boys, there's no fun there. There's no pictures. There's no nothing. So they didn't even ask her to go to the dance. Enter a high school boy from a different school. This high school boy starts talking to her, doesn't know who she is. Hey, you're super cute. I'd like to take you to a football game. We could go to a movie and share some popcorn. So this 12, 13-year-old girl now has her first relationship. How strong are those emotions? They're through the roof, right? She's not sleeping. She's in, frozen fairy tale land because she has a relationship with somebody online. Probably 6 months later, I was teaching the class, and a different girl came up to me. Officer Gomez, I'm really worried. I sent a naked picture of myself to a high school boy. So I went to the high school and asked that boy for his phone, and on his phone, he had about 25 naked middle school girls. He had my little 7th grade girl, the little religious girl, naked in his phone. So I went to her house and talked to her family, and she showed me her phone. And she said all the right things initially. Right after he said he'd date her, he'd take her for popcorn, he says, hey, send me a booby picture. She says, nope, it's against my God, it's against my religion, it's against my family, it's against my school. I'm sorry, I cannot send you the picture. So this boy said the one thing that I see many boys say to girls, hey, I thought you were more mature than that. Look me up in a couple years and I'd love to take you on a date. Okay, so this girl's relationship, she was up here the night before, not sleeping because she has this relationship. Her whole world comes crashing down in 2 seconds. And unfortunately, she took 15 seconds to take off her shirt and send naked pictures of herself, which still haunt her to this day because that boy traded him around. So we had to deal with several people. I had to deal with that boy a couple of times because even though I took his phone that day, his mom gave him a new one, which he used to collect and trade pictures the next day. So I ended up arresting him twice because of parenting issues. Right? So they use girls' emotions against them. With boys, usually about this time, people are like, oh, I'm glad I have boys because if they meet a predator, they can punch them in the neck and run away like I taught them. Okay, but I wanted you to picture 12, 13, 14-year-old boy with their phone. I've taught these kids, right? Hey, stranger danger in real life, online, it should be 1,000 times that because you don't know who you're talking to. This boy gets contacted by 15-year-old hottie girl on whatever application it is. How many boys are going to say stranger danger to 15-year-old hottie girl? 0. Right? You guys know I'm right. So hottie girl starts a relationship with this boy. After they've known each other forever, at least 15 minutes, hottie girl starts laying it on thick. Hey, boy, you're super cute. I can't believe I met you. This, that, and the other, and you're awesome. I like you so much. I am going to send you a special picture. I want you to send me one back. So hottie girl sends a topless picture of herself to the boy. How many boys are going to send a topless picture back? Every one of them. Even the ones I've told this story to. So then hottie girl sends a full naked picture. How many boys are going to send it back? Nearly all of them. Some boys are too embarrassed of their bodies at that age, and that's fine. But most of them do send the naked picture back. So then at some point when I teach parents, hey, look through your galleries, look through everything, be an investigator, or they look on my Facebook page. Well, then the parents come in with a cell phone like it's toxic. It's like, Gomez, my 12-year-old boy is sending naked pictures of himself. Some girl sending naked pictures back. Make it stop. So I got the FBI to help me. We actually ended up arresting a 25-year-old man in Iowa and a 38-year-old man in Kentucky. Adult men who want naked pictures of young boys, they can go on to Pornhub, onto Google, and they can download a series of pictures of an 18-year-old model who looks like she's 15. And by series, here she is fully clothed at the mall, here she is fully clothed at her fake Thanksgiving dinner, here she is with her fake friends, and then here she is in various stages of undress. So these adult men predators steal her identity, contact boys all around the world, and they are highly successful at getting naked pictures of these boys back. And they use those pictures for sextortion, they use them to join trading groups, and they use them for personal gratification. And this happens over and over and over again. It happens up in my town that I barely have running water and electricity. Right? I tell people, Colt, when they came out with their revolver, they said it made all men equal. Wi-Fi makes all kids equal. It doesn't matter whether you're rich, poor, live in busy place, not busy place. Wi-Fi gives predators access to your kids. And you may think your kid is different and smarter than a predator. They are not. There are millions of predators who tried this over and over and over again. And they're good at getting adults, much less kids who are going through puberty, who have all these emotional roller coasters. They are very good at it. And what is the best defense mechanism for all of that is parents. But parents are falling asleep. Parents want to give their kids privacy. In fact, parents are so easy. You tell them, I need my phone for an alarm clock, and you let them have their kids in their room all night long just so they can use it for an alarm clock in the morning. It's like, hey, I'll come in and throw a bucket of water on you, help you out. Right? One of my number one rules, do not let phones in bathrooms or bedrooms. Don't let any Wi-Fi, no PlayStations, no tablets, nothing in bedrooms. You have to be able to monitor. Let's talk about a couple scams so that you've seen them before at least, or you've heard about them. On TikTok, and we'll talk a little bit more about TikTok. On TikTok, people offer money for pictures of feet. Right? And a lot of people have seen it. Hey, I'll give you $20 for a picture of your feet. I'm collecting pictures of feet. And it sounds kind of silly and weird, but here's what happens. If a predator gets a young lady, especially, to send him pictures of her feet, she sends a picture of her feet, I'll give you $20. Sends a picture, and the predator says, okay, where do I send you $20 to? Do you have Venmo, PayPal, Cash King, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay? What do you have? And most kids that age don't have anything. So they either get their parents to set them up an account, or they get their 18-year-old friends to set them up an account. But once they set up the account and they send that to the predator, hey, here's my Venmo account. The predator sends them $20 for that picture of their feet. But now what's just happened is now the predator knows that kid can take electronic money. So next, hey, I will send you $40 for a bra and panty picture. I will send you $80 for a topless picture. I will send you $500 for a video. If you secretly record you and your boyfriend, I will send you $1,000. And it all started with pictures of feet. And that happens over and over and over again. Okay, and I know the feet thing sounds funny. Sometimes they'll ask for pictures of fingernails. Hey, I do fingernail pictures. Send me a picture of your fingernails, right? Your whatever manicure things. Okay, the super jock. This especially happens to freshman girls. They come into high school, a freshman boy will go onto Instagram and copy the account of the star football player, quarterback football player. So they'll copy their Instagram account almost exactly. And then just put football player _ spam. And they'll say, this is my new account, follow me. And they'll have a Snapchat link on there. And as soon as those girls start talking to Snapchat, they think they're talking to the football player. It's not, it's one of their 9th grade classmates. Well, after they've talked a few minutes, hey, send me nudes. And these 9th grade girls, because they want to be accepted, they want to be cool and more mature, they send naked pictures. And this happens over and over and over again. The pretty girl, we talked about this one on Facebook. You get the pretty girl who says, hey, thanks for this, I'll send you a naked picture, send me one back. We talked about that one. Let's do, I have your picture first. So, if 80% of high school girls have sent out nude photos, now I have a boy in my own school who will send friend requests, Snapchat friend requests to all the girls. As soon as they accept them, they'll talk to them a little bit, and then they'll say, hey, look, I have a naked picture of you. Send me a new one to me personally, or else I'm going to blast this one everywhere. Now, how do the girls know if they have a naked picture of them or not? They do not. So now a girl has to make a choice. Does the person have a naked picture of them? Are they going to share it with everybody? Right now, I've probably taken 20 of those cases at my own schools, and I find the boys every time. And depending on how many girls they've had do that, I arrest them. Right? But if you have a boy, boys like naked things. And if they can get naked pictures of classmates, a lot of times they will. But now your kid is looking at felonies, an actual arrest, court for years, possible sexual offender registry list. Anybody's susceptible. If you have a girl, out of those 20 reports, I had one girl who gave me, Gomez, somebody's threatening to send my naked picture out. I've never sent a naked picture out, so they don't have one. I already know. It's a scam. Only one was able to do that. That's crazy. The fake check scam. This one I just put on there has nothing to do with, this is more like the Craigslist scam. So a lot of times, especially with high school kids, they're short on money. Somebody says, hey, I'll send you $3,500. I need you to go to Walmart and fill out some kind of a shopping list. Keep $500 for yourself and send me back, the other $2,000 or whatever on Western Union. And so they do this, they send back the money, and then 2 or 3 days later, their bank calls them and says, hey, that check you deposited is no good. You owe us $3,500. This happens to a lot of high school kids. It happens to a lot of adults. The fake check scam. And there's a bunch more. Again, follow my Facebook page. I put everything new I find on there as much as I can. Okay, we are going to talk a little bit about OnlyFans. So OnlyFans, a lot of parents don't quite understand OnlyFans. A lot of kids don't understand OnlyFans, but in the last couple of years, it's gained a lot of popularity. OnlyFans is like, picture Instagram, but it's pay-per-view Instagram. You can pay a monthly charge, or you can pay a per-picture charge. If you pay a monthly charge, you basically pay the person $5 a month, and you have access to all their exclusive content. And a lot of celebrities have OnlyFans accounts. So they'll tease with bikini pictures, and you've got to pay to get skimpier bikini pictures or nude pictures. You can also pay per view. So you'll have somebody who sets up an Instagram page, and you have only half the picture available. To uncover the rest of the picture, you have to pay 50 cents, right? It's not much, but over millions of users worldwide, it amounts to a lot. Plus, it's residual income. OnlyFans is so prevalent these days that now my high school girls that are 11th, 12th grade are starting to say that high school diplomas are for ugly kids. Because if you're good looking, you can sell your pictures on OnlyFans and make a lot of money. On TikTok, there's all kinds of girls who post a lot of money, paychecks that they're getting from OnlyFans, and they are getting rich at it. I myself have taken probably 5 reports where a parent realizes, my 13-year-old daughter has $5,000. I don't know where she got it. She's selling naked pictures. This is a very rural area, and they're still doing it. And as I talk to police departments around the United States, they'll get, hey, look, that happened. Now what? Right? So we start doing search warrants. And a lot of times kids will come up and tell a parent, hey, Mom, Dad, I need a Venmo account because I need to pay for some school supplies, or somebody needs to pay me for something. And as long as you don't go negative on your Venmo account, parents will never know. Like, I have a PayPal. The only time I ever have to deal with PayPal at all is if I need to put more money in because I'm going to buy something. But if people are paying me, as long as I stay in the green, I don't get emails, I don't get anything. Right? And for parents, it's the same way. But for whatever reason, they check it. It's like, man, there's $13,000. This is sex grooming, sex trafficking grooming. Because then when they turn 18, especially if they're on OnlyFans, especially if they're on Snapchat, especially on their TikTok, now they get offered to go to Florida and California and make a pornography video for $10,000. And I get a phone call from parents. Gomez, my daughter's down at the airport. She's going to fly to Van Nuys, California. She's going to fly to Miami. She's going to make a pornography film. They're going to pay her $10,000. Can you stop her? If they're 18, I cannot stop them. I'm going to try and talk them out of it. I've probably gone 7 girls to try and talk them out of it. I've never been able to talk one out of it. Because they've already made the decisions. They're going to go. And then when they go, they usually get paid some cash, some drugs. Then pretty soon they make another video. And it's more drugs, some cash. More drugs, some cash. And that's how we start getting them into sex trafficking. And it happens a lot. Parents are giving kids the tools that predators are using to sex traffic them. Right? It's that cell phone. And especially if you let them in a room at night, that's how predators are getting there. I always ask parents, how much private time do you want adults to have with your kid? 0. How much do they have? A lot. Okay, it's a quiz. How many of those do you guys know? And the last one on the first column should say halfie, but every time I put halfie, it kills it. All right, we'll give you about 10 seconds. So there's the decoder. Halfies is always my favorite to tell parents. Like, that's a half-smoked cigarette. So kids will go on the bottom side of balconies where people throw the cigarettes, or they'll go fish all the cigarettes out of the gas station ashtray, and they'll save them to smoke later. It's like, ew. What other ones are? Plug gets used a lot. Xanax pills are probably the most popular high school pill for kids to take. Xanny bars. They call them school buses. They call them yellow school buses. Xanax bars, all kinds of things that they call them. But those are the most popular. Pills, just so you know, most pills in middle school and high school go for $10 a pill. The kids will take the pills, they'll crush them up, they'll put them in their Gatorade so they can drink them during class. Okay, just a little bit on drugs. There's 2 addictions to drugs that people don't know about. Some of you do know about. There's the chemical addiction. So with cigarettes, the chemical addiction would be nicotine. With marijuana, it would be THC. With vapes, it could be THC or nicotine, or both. Or now we're getting fentanyl in vapes. Now we're getting meth in vapes. We're getting heroin in vapes. The chemical addiction. The second is the social addiction. When kids start vaping, when they start smoking in any way, shape, or form, all their friends change. By the time a parent catches a kid smoking a vape or a cigarette, parents think you just ask them to stop. No, you're not asking them to stop. Number 1, you're asking them to stop a serious addiction of nicotine. But number 2, you're asking them to get rid of all their friends. And that's what parents don't understand. If your kid gets caught with a vape, you need to get some professional help. It's not going to be just, well, they're just stopping right now, which is what most people think. I don't know if I have an actual vape slide. Let me see if I actually have a vape. Nope. Okay, so vaping right now is the most prevalent thing in high school. At my school with 2,300 kids, I was getting 100 vapes a semester, every semester. My counterpart at one of the other high schools, also 100 vapes a semester. Now, when we catch somebody with a vape, it's a $74 state citation ticket, plus it's a week of them being in in-school suspension. When they're in in-school suspension for a week, their grades usually improve. But I get to talk to them. I take them on walks. Let's go for a walk. Let's go get a coffee. And as I'm talking to them, I say, hey, what's the chance that you're going to stop vaping? And they're like, why would I stop vaping? Right? I got to pay $74, no big deal. My grades improved, no big deal. I'm not stopping. And they don't. Probably 1 in 100 kids stopped vaping. Now, I get a lot of parents, hey, there's no studies. What's really bad with vaping? Okay, in talking to the kids at the high school, I had the unique privilege of having middle school kids follow me to high school. So a lot of my middle school kids went with me to high school. Now I have them as vapors or marijuana users. I talk to them. And I'd say, hey, Johnny, hey, Sarah, when you were in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, in middle school, you rode horses, you did biking, you did dirt biking, you did skiing, you did photography, you did art, you did all these things. What are you doing now? Nothing. They are vaping and they're smoking marijuana. That's it. Addiction. My easy definition for addiction is giving up everything for one thing. So when I get kids to start vaping, they start smoking marijuana, they give up their whole other life to smoke and vape. There's no more photography. There's no more dirt biking. There's no more going out with friends and playing basketball. We just vape. And so getting them to give that up, number 1, the chemical addiction. Number 2, the friend addiction. the social life. Now, kids get so addicted to the nicotine of vapes that they can't make it through a classroom period without vaping. They will start getting the shakes. So what they do is they take the little vapes, they rubber band them to their sleeve, and they can, during class, and then they blow it into their shirt. That's how I catch most of the kids, is they're vaping in class. They go to the bathrooms to vape, they vape at lunch, they vape at home, and it is a huge, huge problem. 100 vapes a semester. My counterpart at the other high school, 100 vapes a semester. And especially since they make them in fruity flavors, they make them smokeless, they make them odorless. And in the middle school and high school, girls know they can put them in their bra. We're never going to search a girl's bra for vapes. Right? And so they go 2 or 3 in the bathroom stall. When a teacher walks in, they know they're vaping. But by the time the teacher gets in there, whoever had the vape, it's in their bra. Now what do we do? Okay, these are real issues that we have to deal with. Boys will put them in their waistband, and we'll search a waistband. We won't search any further. Sometimes they put them in their shoes, all kinds of things. But these are real things that we have to deal with. If your kid starts vaping, that is a lifelong choice. Right? For them to stop is like stopping smoking. And you'll see 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds now, they carry their vapes around like it's a binky. Right? They can't do anything without their vape. They got to go everywhere. And they can't work anymore, right? Every 20 minutes, they got to vape, they got to vape, they got to vape. And if you're an adult who vapes or smokes cigarettes, how do you keep your kid from doing that? Right? You are the example. I always tell parents, if you want to build a better kid, you have to be a better adult. I have lots of parents who say, I would die for my kid. I don't want you to die for your kid. I want you to live for your kid. Start making healthier choices. Start being a better example so that your kid can see it. Whenever I get a kid in trouble, people are like, Officer Gomez, what do you recommend? I recommend family time. I recommend family activities. I recommend parent coaching. I recommend group activities. Go to church. Do things as a family, because as a family, that's where you get to show your kids how you want them to act. And it's almost impossible to change if you don't. Okay, so what you see on the right is LSD stamps. So that's probably the size of an actual postage stamp. And there's 6 up there. LSD tabs are $10 a tab, just like pills are $10 a pill. Those are $10 a tab, and they come in funny cartoon characters. The kids put them under their tongues, dissolve, and pretty soon they start hallucinating. They're just a lot more potent than they used to be. Now, at my own school, I've probably had 10 kids end up running down the hallways naked, boys and girls. As soon as they're doing that, it's like they have LSD tabs on them. There's LSD on board. Almost every single time. With prescription pills, I got to tell you about Adderall. I get a lot of Adderall. Adderall is super popular with college kids. So if it's popular with college kids, it's going to be popular with high school kids. They use Adderall to be able to study all night. And focus is what they tell me. But I'm catching high school kids, middle school kids, who are taking Adderall during the day at school. And so I pull them in. It's like, hey, why are you taking Adderall that's not prescribed to you? Well, I'm using it to focus, Officer Gomez. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at your grades. You got straight Fs. What are we focusing on? Right? And that's how it is. This is what Snapchat drug selling looks like. They put this on their 24-hour timeline. You got pills, you got marijuana, and you got various forms of marijuana. Now, you guys have it legal here. In Idaho, they actually have to take a trip and come back, which is super nice with my fakey Snapchat account, because I can actually see their map when they're going away. And they go to the nearest place there in Ontario, and I can see they're at the dispensary. It's like, oh, I'm going to say hi when they come back. TikTok. You see lots of videos on how to do drugs. This guy on the right, actually a video, he's a prison worker showing people how to sneak drugs into the prison so he can sell them to the inmates. That didn't go very well for him. Roblox. Roblox is starting to desensitize your kids to marijuana already. Right? Roblox is popular between like 6 and 12-year-olds. Games for phones. These are games that kids are putting on their phones in elementary school, in middle school. right? And some of them are really fun. I've played a couple of them just to see, I got to do my research. Some of them are very fun. They teach you all kinds of things, but it's desensitizing, right? Same thing with sexual stuff. Social media, desensitize your kid to be sexual. Games, things like that. Okay, so let's talk about some of the specific applications. So Snapchat. Why do kids like Snapchat? Kids like Snapchat. It has some of the most advanced facial recognition mapping there is. So especially like Halloween is my favorite. You take a picture and you can upchuck spiders and you can have scary things, and it is top of the line facial recognition mapping. So you can send cool videos. You can make cool faces. I love doing it with my grandkids. Kids like it because it automatically deletes messages back and forth between people. Now, when it deletes those messages, they're gone forever. I can't even get them with a search warrant. Some of the bad things about it, it has mapping. So it shows where your kid is within 10 feet of where they are. Some of the bad things about it, it has its own vault. So it has a picture vault built into it. It's called My Eyes Only. My Eyes Only has a pin-coded picture vault that kids put all their naked pictures, their weed pictures, whatever it is in there. If you go to my Facebook page, I give exact instructions how to get into it. And every time I do give those instructions, I always get a parent, hey, look, I got into my daughter's, my son's, whatever, this is what I found. And it's craziness from there on out. When I do search warrants on Snapchat, I cannot get a lot of the information because Snapchat doesn't keep it. Now, kids think that you will get a notification if you screenshot their picture. If they screenshot it from that phone, yes. But if they take a picture of the picture, they do not. If they use third-party app, they do not. There's all kinds of ways around this stuff. Most shenanigans, most illegal activities happen on Snapchat. So when people meet on Roblox, they get them to Snapchat. When they meet on TikTok, they get them to Snapchat. When they meet on whatever, Minecraft, Fortnite, all of that stuff, they get them to Snapchat. That is the predator's choice. I always say, hey, 5 out of 5 predators recommend Snapchat for kids because that is a true thing. TikTok. TikTok desensitizes kids. It makes them worth their body parts. Okay, so TikTok used to be called Musical.ly. And there's a lot of good learning things you can do on TikTok. There's lots of good people teaching you how to do things, work videos, and fun dancing videos. Okay, but the group grooming comes in very quickly. So that's one of the very first challenges on TikTok, and there's been thousands since then. One of the very first challenges was the plank challenge. Okay, the plank challenge, you would play a piece of music, and you would start in a push-up position facing the camera on the ground. You're facing the camera, the music would play, you go down to a plank position, up, down to a plank position, up. You do 2-3 rounds of that. And your friends would like it, whatever. These days, people still do the plank. If you go and do the plank challenge, you're going to do the plank, your 14 friends are going to like it. Yay, right? Did the plank challenge. If you want more likes, wear a loose-fitting shirt, especially for a girl. Now you're looking right down their shirt as they're doing the plank challenge. If you wear a loose-fitting shirt and no bra, you are now going to have 100,000 likes. Just like that. They are being groomed to be worth their body parts. Whose job is it to teach them to be something worth other than their body parts? It's you parents. Right? But that is a grooming process. The next challenge, show us your tattoo challenge. Your biggest tattoo, your most secret tattoo, the one that means the most. So, of course, people are showing very private tattoos. There's a steal a car challenge. There's a damage the bathrooms in the school challenge. There's all kinds of challenges that groom your kids to be criminals and be worth their body parts as far as sex. And parents, how many hours a week do you spend teaching your kids family values? 1, 2, 3? Versus how much time do kids spend on social media every single day? I have lollipops that I give out if you spent less than 10 hours yesterday on your cell phone. I rarely give out lollipops. Most kids are spending 12 to 20 hours on social media. That means every minute at school, every minute at home. That's why they don't sleep. Again, you parents are going to have to step up on this one. Instagram, most parents know how to operate Instagram. The thing that most parents don't know is that most kids have 5 accounts. They have their mom and dad account, and then they have all their spam accounts. We used to call them Finsta, which they're friends and Instagram smashed together. Their Sinsta, which is their sins and their Instagram friends. But nowadays, it just evolved to spam accounts. And a lot of parents just, oh, I'm friends with my daughter on Instagram. It's so cute. It's like, that's not the account that matters. Be sneaky. Instagram now has disappearing messages. Now they have Reels, just like Snapchat. So you have to watch all these things. You have to check your kids' communications with other people. Again, how many adults do you want your kids talking to? Should be like family members, teachers, maybe. I'm not big on teachers talking to kids on Instagram, Snapchat. I like Remind. Remind, there's a couple other school applications that are specifically for that we can check very easily that work as good as anything else. They just don't hide messages. So when I see coaches and things using Snapchat, hey, please go over to Remind. Please don't use Instagram. It's too sneaky. Please don't use Snapchat. It's too sneaky. All right, Roblox. Roblox is popular between, what do I say up there? 6 to 12-year-olds. Even 13, 14-year-olds like it. I will tell you that Roblox is amazing at educating kids. They have a lot, like 300 mini games inside Roblox. And they have some amazing games that teach kids how to socialize. They teach them how to build things. They teach them how to save money. They teach them how to negotiate. There is a lot of educational value to Roblox. Unfortunately, there is a lot of predators on Roblox. Now, I have 6 grandkids, but we have twins that are older now. A couple years ago, they were playing Roblox, and they had to play Roblox in front of my wife and I. As we're watching them play Roblox, somebody comes on and says, ASL, question mark. Right? And most adults would think, American Sign Language, oh goodness, you got to be his friend. Right? But in predator world, ASL question mark means age, sex, and location, which is what this person was intending. Age, sex, and location. Now, predators start desensitizing kids as soon as they get on there. How do they do that? They start naming their characters pornography names. They misspell pornography names. They start having those characters run all the way around the game. So kids start seeing things that are sexual. A couple years ago, my wife and I were sitting watching the news, and they had this woman featured, and she said, hey, my daughter was playing Roblox in front of me, and my daughter's character was raped at the park inside Roblox. And I'm like, that's cap, right? Which means lie. No cap is not a lie. I'm like, I don't believe it. A few days later, Roblox came out and said, hey, we fixed the loophole that allowed predators to rape the characters in parks. Right? So it was completely real. And they find loopholes like that all the time. And if they're spending hours and hours and hours on that, are you spending hours and hours watching it? No, right? You set them on roll. It's like the Barney tapes. We used to put in Barney tape for the kids 52 times. You just rewind Barney. Nowadays, people give them cell phones, and they're on Roblox all the time. You have to watch them. You have to turn off the chats. We talked about OnlyFans already. Okay, popular applications. The application that gets most 911 calls is Fortnite. When kids are playing Fortnite, you always ask them, hey, look, you need to come to dinner. Well, I just got to do this last one. And so Fortnite, basically the most popular game, you start with 100 players, you drop out of a bus, and you have to shoot each other and be the last person standing. Or you do it teams. And it starts over every 5 minutes, you get killed, and you start over. Your goal is to be the last man standing. So okay, let me play one more round. Well, pretty soon the parent's like, okay, that was 2 hours ago, I told you last round. And I know they're only 5 minutes, so then parent unplugs the PlayStation or the Xbox, and kids go nuts, right? So then we get the 911 call from mom. I just unplugged my kid's Fortnite, and now he's breaking the windows in my house, and he's going nuts. Please come help me. That is probably the game that gets the most 911 calls, the most I've been to. Right? If the police have to come to your house because of a video game, that should be like, hey, we got an issue. Discord, I get asked a lot about Discord. Discord is for gamers. It's just as dangerous as anything else. Anything that you can chat with somebody is dangerous. Anything that you can chat with somebody is dangerous. And I get people that ask me all kinds of stuff about all kinds of applications. Like, I don't know. Can you chat? I don't know. Can you send naked pictures? Those are the two main things. Payment applications. PayPal, Venmo, Google Wallet, and there's tons of payment applications that kids use. Secret applications. Many kids have the fake calculator, where the calculator will do all kinds of equations, but if you do a swoop and 42 times 86, now you enter a secret gallery where they hold pictures, they can chat, they can have secret things on there. It's very popular in schools because you can be in class on whatever, and then as soon as the teacher comes around, all you do is shake it and it goes right back to the calculator. Oh, I was calculating how many people died in the Civil War between this time and this time. Right? I was calculating the molecular atomic mass of 2 neutrons and a fudge stick. That's how quickly that works. But it also hides things from parents. All right, so sneaky kids. I get lots of parents who say, hey, look, I have parental monitors on my kids' phone, so I don't worry about these things. Okay, so let me tell you a few of the ways kids get around your parent monitors. So a lot of parents, kids want to use their phone for alarm clock. So you set it, hey, it goes off at 9 p.m., comes on at 7 a.m. In between, it's only a 911 phone. Well, kids know that at 8:30, they can just change the time zone. And now it's never going to be 9 p.m. Right? And they can keep on pretty soon at 3 in the morning. They're in Hawaii, so they can still be using their phones. Delete application, start over. So on parental monitoring, you can say, hey, you get 1 hour of Snapchat a day, and then you don't get it anymore. Well, when we get to minute number 58, they delete the application, re-download it, re-log in, and now they get a whole nother hour. And another one, and another one. Video screen grab password. So that, hey, Mom, I want to download this for school. You put in the password, and they've screen grabbed it, right? They put the screen on record. Apple actually fixed that, so you couldn't do that, but you can download a third-party keyboard to record it. With face recognition, right? If you have face recognition, your kid's going to pick up your phone. Mom, you left your phone on the couch, and they will aim the phone at your face, and you've just unlocked their phone. It's that quick. Hotspot. So I get some parents who are, hey, I have ultimate control. I turn off my router at night, so there's no way. They can't do anything. Well, then I have a parent, hey, Gomez, we unplugged the router. It's under our bed in a safe. And we know they're on the internet. How are they doing it? Well, Mom had a flip phone. The kids enabled the hotspot on Mom's flip phone that is on her bedside table. So they could log into the internet through Mom's flip phone. Right? Many kids have access to second devices. Jailbreaking a phone means you put a whole new software on there. That's not as popular anymore because when you jailbreak phones, a lot of times we call it bricking them, where you break the software upgrade and it never works again ever. So it's very temperamental, so not many kids jailbreak it, but it is a possibility. Third-party protection. When you get a phone, if you're going to give a kid a smartphone, Apple has free and Samsung has free. Apple, it's already built in. Samsung, you download Family Link. Now, these cost anywhere between $5 a month to $25 a month. I always recommend people start with the free ones. These ones come with education, plus they come with a team of experts that helps you out. Right? Sometimes they'll call you in the middle of the night, hey, your son, your daughter's talking about suicide. Your son or daughter sent a picture out that we think is a nude photo. Right? So they will alert you to certain things. There's always loopholes, no matter what. Same thing as with the school devices, there's always loopholes. But if you put these things on, let kids know that it's important to you, hopefully they will get it at some point. And you have to have these conversations with it. Hey, it is important to me that you don't cruise pornography. It is important to me that you don't bully people. It's important to me that you're safe on the internet. It's important to me that you're kind to people. It's important to me that you do things outside of cell phones. But you can't just tell them, you got to show them. This is for schools. So I always say, have some good policies for schools. What are you going to do when you find photos? What are you going to do with bullying? What are you going to do with all these things? Schools should have well-written policies because parents will challenge you. Same thing as a dress code, right? You have to have a well-written dress code or parents are going to challenge you. Same with social media practices. I usually have the parent one. For the parent one, 200 friends or less, know who their friends are, no cell phones in rooms at night, have a screen time limit, whatever that is. We take high-risk kids into our house, we start with 2 hours. From the time they wake up, they get 2 hours of screen time. If they want more, they have to do community service. You go talk to the old lady on the corner, you get added hours. You mow somebody's yard, you get added hours. We start with 2, and then you can go up and down from there. Have a screen time limit. This is good for you as an adult, too, because it's easy to get carried away. I'll look at my screen time from the weekend. It's like, oh, man, I spent 8 hours on screen time. Smack myself. Okay, I'm going on detention next week. I'm just going to go fishing all weekend. Here's how you can find me. Facebook is the best way. I do have my email up there. This video is going to go on all kinds of places of this because I know a lot of people are thinking, like, honey, take all the phones and put them in the microwave. Don't do anything until I get home. Right? Or it's like, man, I can't believe everybody isn't here. Right? And the reason everybody isn't here is because a lot of them have other things going on, or they thought I was going to teach them how to change their password, which is not what this is. Usually the second time I go somewhere is when I get a ton more people. Okay, you can always reach out to me. I'm always putting videos. I'm going to start upping my YouTube account. I'm going to try and make some money at this. So we'll see if I can or can't. I'm going to open it up to questions for a few minutes. Who has any questions they want to ask? Yes, ma'am.
What do you think the realistic possibility of getting schools on board with no phones in school?
Okay, great question. What does it take to get schools with no phones? What does it take for schools to do that? The biggest drawback to that is parents, right? Parents are going to squawk the loudest. Teachers are going to squawk a little bit because some teachers are used to teaching with phones. Some teachers are used to having research with phones. I can tell you from the schools that I've seen change over, my own school as well, it is a completely different school. Since we went to no phones, the parents are more engaged, the teachers are more engaged, the kids are talking to each other in the hallways. It is a different school. And what does it take? You go to the school board. Hey, I would like to propose a no cell phone policy. And on my Facebook page, I have a beautiful no cell phone policy. It's one that many schools have used, including my own. And you tweak it a little bit for your school, but it's a pretty well-written one, and it's one that's doable. Does that help? So you got to have either a strong school board, a strong principal, a strong superintendent. Any one of those three can just go through. And it's better if it's a community effort and a teacher effort, but you got to have one super strong person that's willing to take it for a little bit. Once they do, it is a fantastic thing. Even our pushback parents were happy after we did it. So we did two things. Number one, we came up with the no cell phone policy and a very strong tardy policy. That was the two things we did that changed our school completely. Our tardy policy, you get one free tardy after that. You're tardy today, lunch detention today. We call it academic support because it sounds cooler. Tardy today, lunch detention today. If you miss today, you get one chance tomorrow, otherwise you get half a day of suspension, in-school suspension. And again, in-school suspension usually improves grades because you got a teacher there just watching you. Any other questions? Out of all that, that's it? Yes, ma'am.
So you talked about how once you give it to them, it's much harder to take away. Is there any advice on how to do that? Because if I do that, my kid's going to try to kill me when I get home.
Yes, so I get parents who call me Gomez, I told my kid to give me my phone and they won't give me the phone. Will you come get it for me? Right? And it sounds funny, but that is what happens. I hate doing that, but I'll do it. Usually I'll go and I'll tell parents, hey, look, parent, you got to put your big boy pants on and you got to take the phone. Otherwise, your kid is going to own you for the rest. If you need to borrow this stick, do it. You have to be serious about it. It is really hard to take it back once you give it. Do an intervention, right? And sometimes that's what it takes. An intervention, you get a couple family members, you get, crazy Uncle Joe that's willing to throw down. Get the dog in there if you need. Do an intervention, take the phone, save your kid's life. Now, I had the parents come into me. Gomez, we have 2 kids in college. Awesome kids, never had any kind of problem. Our next 2 kids, and they were appalled that their 17-year-old daughter got a tattoo, which, to me it was okay. But when I asked them, hey, when did your older 2 get cell phones? Well, they didn't get it until they were in college. When did your younger 2 get them? In middle school. And they realized that they had changed their 2 kids' lives by giving them a cell phone. The mom just broke down in my office because she knew that she'd played a big part in changing her kid's life. This is a life changer. Without a doubt, it is a life changer. Anybody else?
Is there anything that you have found that is helpful in talking with children or kids about the dangers of cell phones or why you're taking your phones away that you have found to be successful?
Yes, so the question is, what kind of things do I talk about with kids and what kind of conversations do we have? So this always comes up with sex conversations. Parents and kids are always awkward when they talk to each other about sex. All right, and some parents will never have the conversation like they should. So now I call a parent and I say, hey, look, you need to have the sex conversation. Oh, I'm going to wait till they get in high school. It's like, no, 7th graders are already having intercourse. You need to be talking seriously with your 7th graders about sex. And now, if you're uncomfortable with that, I understand that. So sometimes I advise, let's get a youth group leader to have a sex talk. Let's get one of the counselors at school that we all trust to have a sex talk, but it has to be a real sex talk. It can't be, it's like, the thingy goes over here and you do this other thing. It can't be that. It's got to be a real sex talk. And a lot of times parents cannot do that. But then they don't want anybody else talking to their kids about it either. I'll be damned if somebody's going to talk to my kids about sex. It's like, well, somebody's got to. Right? That's the guy with the taser. I'll do it all day long. But it's better if we plan this out. Youth group leaders are awesome at having those conversations. Counselors are good at having those conversations, especially if they're a school counselor. A family member that you trust are good at having those conversations, the sex conversations. The cell phone conversations, it has to be a mixture of talks and actions. If you are freaking out on Facebook because of politics, guess what? Your kids are going to freak out at school for whatever happens. Right? So you have to talk smart. When I come in and I have a talk with a kid, like I go into the government classes all the time. Especially since, there's a bunch of liberal teachers. They like me as a police officer come in and give a different view. I always come in and say, hey, look, it would be totally weird if everybody thought like me. I wouldn't be nearly as cool as I am. But we have to teach people that it's okay to have a difference of opinion. We have to teach people that that's okay. And if you parents aren't teaching it, who's going to teach it? Some schools aren't teaching it. Start PTAs, start community groups, start church nights, start all these things. That's how you get the information to the kids, and they get to see parents having good communications with each other. That fosters good communication between themselves. Yes, this video, where's this video going to be? CNN?
The White River page, YouTube White River, probably Utah as well, and on his probably.
Yep, so you can see the video. I have a video on my Facebook page that you can watch with your kids, and I would watch with your kids. Hey, Officer Gomez talked about this. What do we think? Officer Gomez talked about this. What do we think? Right? That's the best way to go about this. And if you can't have the conversation, find somebody who will. Yep. Yeah, I'm not going to make money on this one. We're going to do this somewhere else. All right, anything else? You can always contact me. You guys contact your local police, right? They have a lot of the answers because they deal with this a lot. They might not have as cool of jokes as I do, but they're going to be pretty cool anyways. Thanks for coming. I'll be here for a few minutes. You guys can come and say hi. Oh.
Pretty good.